Hi guys, I'm Megan.
I'm Wendy.
We've talked podcast here a lot, but there's always new ones, and today we're talking about the new ones to us that we love. My podcast app is a mess. I have so many shows, like people recommend them, I download them, and then I don't start listening, and then I get overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. I need to get in on the ground floor of a podcast.
Oh, you won't go back and listen?
I will, but it's overwhelming when there's like multiple seasons.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But I've got my old standbys.
Mm-hmm.
We'll link our previous podcast episodes because a lot of my favorites, like Armchair Expert and West Wing Weekly and Reply All, are still like top. But I've got some new ones.
Okay, I want to hear.
The first one is Broken Harts, and it is actually by iHeartRadio and Glamour Magazine. But don't knock it. It is the story of...
something like super tragic, right?
Yes. It's the story of two moms and their adopted foster children.
Oh, yes. Now I know.
And they were found in their car that had gone over a cliff. And they go through the whole backstory of these women and their children, and the really compelling part is they had created this whole Facebook persona for themselves, especially one of the moms, Jen, was a prolific Facebook poster and had this real kind of image she had created for herself on social media that, didn't really match up with reality. And it is heartbreaking, but the story is compelling. I find it interesting.
So they were living a life that was not the same as she was portraying on Facebook.
Very much so.
And then
I think some of it probably is reality, but definitely, it sends a message about it's very easy for me to believe that this is the way someone's life is.
I think we see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't on Facebook just...
Not to this level, it's like, happy Valentine's Day to the love of my life, when that's not maybe the reality. That's on a different level, but this is, kind of the tragic consequences of maybe feeling like you need to create that, and then the other side of it.
Sad. But should I listen?
I think it's...
Would I like it?
I think so.
Okay. Moving on to lighter things.
Please.
If you guys are familiar with Bravo TV and the show Watch What Happens Live, there is a podcast called Watch What Crappens, and it's hosted by two guys, Ben and Ronnie, and they're so funny. They recap every single episode of whatever is playing on Bravo at that time. So right now it's like Housewives of Beverly Hills, VanderPump Rules, Atlanta, like every single one of them. And what is the funniest thing about it is that they can impersonate the voices of...
You should take Wendy dies laughing.
It is so freaking funny. And what I'm very, very excited about is that these guys are on tour and they're coming to our local area in May. Bought tickets. Do you want to go?
Yes. I'll start listening now.
It's so funny. I just love these guys. It's every single day too. That's a lot of podcasts in 1 week for these guys. And they have a Patreon and all that stuff too. So they're just recording. But anyway, this is my favorite show to listen to when I'm in the car or even when I go to bed at night, because for some reason I find their storytelling very relaxing and soothing. So yes, Watch What Crappens.
All right, my next is The Dream.
Oh, I listened to it.
Which is all about the world of MLM, multi-level marketing companies. And man, I think I'm fairly savvy in the world of what's going on with MLM, but it really opened my eyes to the way a lot of these companies run and the way for a lot of people, it's just lies. And in many cases, when I was in middle school, I babysat for a family that was deep into Amway. That was their income. And really interesting, there's a whole thing about Amway. There is the history of MLMs. It just gets how they get you and
how they keep you.
Yes, it's fascinating. Honestly.
It's sad. Don't you think so?
It is.
To those
I do.
Who join up and sell this. And listening to this podcast, I think about the people I see who I know sell certain brands, and I think, God, are they just like trying to dig themselves out of a hole each month?
I wonder. I mean, I know I have friends that I think are successful, but I think it can be very easy to be sucked in.
Yeah. In debt.
Yeah. I'm not saying every MLM is bad. I'm not saying that everyone who participates in an MLM, I just think it's a very interesting look at the business of MLMs.
Sure. Agree. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a little slow. The beginning episodes are.
It's not poppy. It's not. It's like investigative journalism.
Yeah.
It doesn't jump out at you, but I did find it interesting.
My next one is called Extra Hot Great. These is from these two gals. They usually have like a guest too. They do my, again with this Beverly Hills 90210 recaps that I listen to a lot, which they're almost done. They're in season 10 and they cannot wait to be done with it. I think they're starting Veronica Mars next, which I think I will start to listen to that one. Anyway, this one is they review like new shows, current shows that are out, and it's just funny. They truly review the shows, but they're like funny about it too, so that's why I like it.
My last one, don't laugh. It's called The Quibbler, a Harry Potter book club. And they go through chapter by chapter. Now, obviously, they like chunk the chapters together. I've honestly only listened to a handful of episodes. They are right now in, book 6. So they're like deep. It's a husband and wife team. And they really have done their homework. And I first started Harry Potter just out of college. And my experience like falling in love with the books is different than my feelings about the books now. I still love them, but it's no longer this like pure, nothing was wrong with them, this is the perfect book series feeling. It's like there are flawed characters and things about it that make me angry, and they really dig into that. And I reread Harry Potter pretty much yearly. So
what? The series?
Yeah, or like I've read it start to finish several times, or we were reading it with my son, so like I would be reading. And we've seen the movie several times, multiple times.
But now you're looking at it with a more like critical point
Well,
of view.
I just think it's interesting to hear them say things that I hadn't thought about, or say things that I did think about, or it just kind of forces me. I am not the most critical reader when I read. I typically read for enjoyment, and a lot of times don't dig a lot deeper. And what this does is it kind of forces me to go like, yeah, that character was not great. Like he did some things that make me angry.
You guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's called It's Not About the Podcast by DJ James Kennedy. If you guys watch VanderPump Rules, you know what I'm talking about when I say it's not about the pasta. Anyway, he has a podcast now called It's Not About the Podcast, and it's all music review mostly. I think I'm only listening to it because of him, and I know a lot of people think he's a garbage person because he says terrible things, and yes, I agree with all that stuff too. But I was just curious because musically, I'm interested in his what he's interested in, and so I like to hear about these like obscure bands that he introduces on here, and that's why I listen to it.
Yeah, I would hate that.
I know.
Okay, guys, those are the podcasts we are currently loving at the moment. Guys, I am always looking for podcast recommendations. There are so many. It's easy to get overwhelmed. So if you have one you love, let me know what you love and why, because I'm into it. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Let us know what you're loving, and we will see you. I don't know.